Hi students, good day to all. This is SAS Accountancy. In this class, we see the cost sheet practical problem. In the previous class, I explained the cost sheet, that is what are the expenses used for production process and total expenses find, and at last we find the profit by deducting the total cost from the sales. So that is a different problem. So this is in this cost sheet mainly we are finding the cost per unit value. So what is the meaning of cost per unit value? This is the total expenses is divided by the total units produced. So how many units are produced in a particular period of time or in the particular production process. So what are the expenses made during the production process or particular period of time? It is divided by the total units produced at the particular period of time. So that is cost per unit value. But in this problem, we have to find the cost per unit value at each stage. At the time we are finding the raw material consumption, we have to find the cost per unit value. Same at the time of factory cost, we are finding factory cost, and then the cost of production and cost of sale. It is nothing but it is adding all the expenses one by one. Okay, so it is in each stage we have to find the cost per unit value. So let's see the problem how to find the cost per unit value. During the year 2008, X Limited produced 50,000 units of a product. So this is they are produced 50,000 units. The following were the expenses. So what are the expenses used for the particular production process? So that is first one, stock of raw material on 1/1/2008. So 1/1/2008 is, this is the year starting date. So this is considered as opening stock. Okay, got it? So this cost sheet is prepared for the year ending 31st/12/2008. So it is the period of time is 1 year. For the particular 1 year period of time, what are the expenses are occurred and what are the cost per unit for the each expenses that we have to find. So this is the second one, stock of raw material on 31st/12/2008. This is the last date. So this is considered as closing stock. I already said about the opening stock and closing stock. So opening stock is the closing stock of the previous year. It is taken to this year. The current year it is taken to, and it is used for the production process. Okay. So this have to be add always. The opening stock have to be add always with the purchases. Purchase means that is purchases of raw material. So with the purchases we have to add the opening stock and we have to deduct the closing stock. So closing stock means that is the current year closing stock, the product or raw material which are not used for the production. So it should be deducted from the current year raw material. Then other expenses, direct wages and direct expenses. So usually the aggregate of raw material consumption, direct wages and direct expenses is called prime cost. Then we have to add the factory expenses and find it is factory cost. And then we have to add the office expenses, that is office overhead expenses. Then we find the cost of production. And at last we have add the selling overhead expenses and find the cost of sales. So at each stage we have to find the cost per unit value. Okay, let's see the problem. First we have to write the opening stock of raw material. The value of raw material is, opening stock of raw material is, that is 10,000. Then we have to add the purchases of raw material. So the purchases of raw material value is, that is 1,60,000. So if any expenses related with the purchases of raw material, that should also add here. but in this problem there is no expenses given. So we have to add these two. This 1,70,000. Then we have to deduct the closing stock of raw material. So the closing stock of raw material value is 20,000. So the answer is 1,50,000. That is raw material consumed for production process. Raw material consumed. Here we have to find the cost per unit value. That is 1,50,000 is the raw material consumption value, and it should be deducted by the 50,000 units. That is the the units produced. Total units produced. 3 rupees is the cost per unit of the raw material consumed. Then we have to write the direct wages and direct expenses here to find the prime cost. Direct wages value is 75,000 and direct expenses value is 25,000. This is the aggregate of these three is called prime cost. So prime cost value. $2,50,000. Okay, prime cost value. So now we have to find the cost per unit value, direct wages and direct expenses. 75,000 divided by 50,000. So that is 1 rupee 50 paise. Same 25,000 divided by 50,000 units. For all expenses we have to divide it by the 50,000 units because this is the total units produced. So it is 0.50 50 paise. Then we can add this, otherwise we can find from this 2,50,000. The answer will be the same, 5 rupees. 5 rupees is the prime cost. Next we have to add the factory overhead expenses. So the factory expenses is 37,500. That is total is 2,87,500 is cost of factory cost. So when we add the prime cost with the factory expenses, this is called factory cost. Okay. Now we have to find the cost per unit value for the factory expenses. Okay, that is 75 paise, 0.75. If we add this 5.75, if we divide this from the 50,000, the answer will be the same. Next we have to add the office expenses. So the office expenses value is 62,500. We add this, that is 3,50,000. So what is the cost per unit value for office expenses is, it is 1 rupee 25 paise. If we add this, 7 rupees. So 7 rupees is cost of production. Okay, if we divide this total amount, next we have to add the selling and distribution overheads, that is selling expenses, that is 25,000. So if you add this, 3,75,000 is the total expenses of this production. For 25,000 The cost per unit value is 0.50, 50 paise. The total cost of sales is 7.50. Cost of sales. Okay. So this is the method to find the cost per unit value in the cost sheet. Okay. At last, the cost of sales is 3,75,000 is the total cost of the sales. So that is, if we divide this 3,75,000 with the 50,000 unit, we will find the same answer, 7 rupees 50 paise. Okay, student, got it, students? Okay. Recommend my videos to your friends. Thank you.
Viewers, share, comment, like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.